David thought he had it all. 6 years with Grace, a wedding on the horizon, and a home they built together. But weeks before the big day, Grace blindsided him with a bombshell. She wanted an open relationship to live a little. Stunned, but resolute, David agreed, only to unravel her true intentions. What followed was a roller coaster of betrayal, cunning, and a quiet comeback that turned the tables, without breaking a single law. David's hands tightened around the leash as he walked Rusty, a scrappy mutt from the Austin Animal Shelter, through the park. The dog tugged, chasing a squirrel, and David laughed, his easy grin drawing smiles for passersby. For 6 years, he'd built a life with Grace, his fiancée, weathering tight budgets, late-night job hunts, and a year in her parents' cramped guest room to save for their first home. Now, with their wedding 2 months away, venue booked, invites sent, he felt steady, like a man who'd earned his place. Volunteering at the shelter was his way of giving back, a small act that grounded him. Rusty nipped at his shoelace, and David knelt to ruffle the dog's ears, unaware that his world was about to tilt. Back at their loft, Grace paced the kitchen, her phone clutched like a lifeline. David walked in, unclipping Rusty's leash, and caught her expression, tight, distant, the kind she wore when pitching a tough client at her marketing job. "We need to talk," she said, voice low, almost rehearsed. David's stomach knotted, expecting news of a sick relative or wedding snag. He slid onto a bar stool, waiting. Grace didn't sit. "I've been thinking," she began, eyes darting away. "I want to try an open relationship before we get married, just to live a little." The words hit like a dropped glass, sharp, unexpected. David blinked, processing. "Live a little," he echoed, voice flat. They'd survived lean years, splitting gas money, laughing over burnt dinners, planning a future. Now, with deposits paid and vows half-written, she wanted to date other people. "Are you serious?" he asked, leaning forward. Grace nodded, crossing her arms. "I love you, David, but I'm 31. I haven't explored enough. I don't want regrets haunting me at 50. David's jaw clenched. "So what? I'm not enough now." His tone stayed even, but his pulse raced. Grace sighed, like he was missing the point. "It's not about you. It's about me knowing I chose this life fully." She stepped closer, softening. "It'd just be physical. A few dates, nothing serious. You'd still be my home." Her words sounded like a sales pitch, polished but hollow. David stood, pacing to the window. "And if I say no?" Grace's eyes narrowed, a flicker of impatience. "Then you're saying you don't trust me to come back to you." The accusation stung, flipping the script. David turned, meeting her gaze. "This isn't about trust. It's about loyalty. We're engaged, Grace." "Why now?" She shrugged, almost casual. "Because once we're married, it's forever. I need to be sure." He wanted to argue, to remind her of the nights they'd stayed up dreaming of kids, a porch swing, growing old together. But her face was set, determined. "I need time to think," he said, grabbing his keys. He drove to the shelter, where the dog's barks drowned out the noise in his head. He fed them, cleaned cages, let the routine steady him. Grace's request gnawed at him. 6 years, and now she needed strangers, to be sure. By morning, Grace was ready with ammunition. She slid her phone across the counter, opened to an article, "Why Open Relationships Strengthen Commitment." "Read this," she urged. David scanned it, unimpressed. "This doesn't change anything," he said, pushing the phone back. She rolled her eyes. "You're so rigid. People do this all the time." She played a podcast clip next, some guru praising freedom and love. David cut it off. "I'm not debating this like it's a book club. You want to date other guys? That's your call, but I'm not signing up for it." Grace's face flushed. "You're acting like I'm cheating. I'm being honest." Her voice rose, sharp. David matched her intensity, standing. "Honest? You're rewriting our deal 2 months before the wedding. That's not honesty, it's a power move." She froze, caught off guard. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she softened, stepping closer. "I just need this, David. Please." Her plea carried weight, but it felt like manipulation, not vulnerability. He spent the day at work, sketching logos, his mind elsewhere. Grace texted, "I don't want to lose you. Can we talk tonight?" At home, she waited, eyes hopeful. David sat, exhausted. "Fine," he said, voice cold. "Open relationship. Your rules. No emotions, total honesty. Deal?" Grace's face lit up, like she'd won a bet. "Deal," she said, already reaching for her phone. Within minutes, she was on a dating app, swiping with a grin. "This guy's cute," she muttered, showing David a profile. He nodded, silent, his chest tight. That night, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Grace slept beside him, oblivious, her phone glowing with notifications. David wasn't angry yet, just hollow, like a man watching his home erode. He didn't know how far she'd take this, but he knew one thing. He wouldn't be her fallback plan. Tomorrow, he'd reach out to Mia, Grace's old friend, not for revenge, but for clarity. If Grace wanted freedom, he'd find his own kind, one that didn't leave him waiting in the wings. David woke to the buzz of Grace's phone, her screen flashing with notifications from her dating app. She was already up, humming as she brewed coffee, acting like last night's agreement was just another Tuesday. "Morning," she chirped, sliding a mug his way. David nodded, sipping in silence, his mind replaying her swiping through profiles with that eager grin. He didn't ask about her plans. She volunteered anyway. "Meeting Tyler tonight," she said, casual as if mentioning a work happy hour. "He's a barista, super chill." David set his mug down. "Cool," he said, voice flat, and left for the shelter. At the animal shelter, David threw himself into work, walking dogs and scrubbing kennels. The routine kept him grounded, but Grace's words looped in his head. She needed to live before committing. His phone stayed quiet. No text from her, just a void where their usual banter used to be. By afternoon, he scrolled through his contacts, pausing on Mia's name. Grace's former best friend, exiled 2 years ago after a flirty comment at a barbecue, hadn't crossed his path since. He typed a message. "Hey, it's David." Grace pushed for an open relationship. "Coffee to catch up?" "No drama, just talk." Mia replied in minutes. "Wow, she actually did it? I'm free Saturday. Let's meet." Grace was out when David got home, her absence loud. A sticky note on the fridge read, "Back late, Tyler." He crumpled it, tossing in the trash. That night, she breezed in at 11 p.m., laughing about Tyler's quirky coffee shop stories. "He's fun," she said, kicking off her shoes. "You should try this, David. It's freeing." Her tone was light, but her eyes searched for a reaction. David shrugged. Maybe. He wasn't playing her game, but the dismissal stung her smile. She hesitated, then dropped it, heading to bed. The next day, Grace ramped up. Over breakfast, she played a podcast about ethical non-monogamy, volume high. "See? It's about trust," she said, pointing at her phone. David pushed his plate away. "Trust isn't swiping right while I'm sitting here." She scoffed. "You agreed to this. Don't make me the bad guy." He stood, grabbing his keys. "I'm not. Just don't expect me to cheer you on." Her jaw tightened, but she said nothing, already back on her app. Saturday's coffee with Mia was at a quiet shop across Austin. She walked in, sharp and confident, her presence a contrast to Grace's calculated charm. "So, Grace finally showed her cards," Mia said, stirring her latte. David nodded, explaining the open relationship push, Grace's dates, the rules. Mia listened, then leaned forward. She always needed to be the one in control. Even in college, she'd call the shots, then cry victim when it backfired. David frowned. "You think she's playing me?" Mia shrugged. "I think she's playing herself. She expects you to wait while she shops around." Their talk stretched, easy and unforced. Mia shared her own fallout with Grace. How a misinterpreted joke led to Grace cutting her off without a word. "She didn't like that I saw through her," Mia said. David admitted he felt unmoored, like he was losing his grip on what was real. "You're not crazy," Mia said. "You're just seeing her clearly now." They parted with a promise to stay in touch. Nothing heavy, just a spark of understanding. Grace noticed his absence when he got home. "Where were you?" she asked, scrolling her phone on the couch. "Coffee with Mia," David said, setting his keys down. Her fingers froze. "Mia? My ex-best friend Mia?" Her voice was sharp, eyes narrowing. "Yeah," David said, calm. "We talked. That's it." Grace stood, pacing. "You're seriously hanging out with her? After what she did?" David raised an eyebrow. "You mean after you blocked her for a comment? You're out with Tyler, but I can't grab coffee?" Her face flushed. "That's different. She's not some random guy. She's personal." David crossed his arms. "You wanted this open thing. Don't rewrite the rules when it's not just about you." Grace stormed to the bedroom, slamming the door. David didn't follow. Her reaction wasn't about betrayal. It was about losing control. She'd expected him to sit idly while she explored, but his single coffee date cracked her script. The next morning, Grace was all smiles again. as if the fight never happened. Meeting Evan tonight, she announced, pouring juice. He's a DJ, super creative. David nodded, unfazed. Have fun. Her smile faltered. She wanted a rise, not indifference. By evening, she was out again, leaving David to his thoughts. He texted Mia. Grace flipped out about us talking. Guess she didn't expect me to have a life too. Mia's reply was quick. She's mad you're not her backup plan. Stay sharp. David started documenting everything. Not out of spite, but to anchor himself. He saved Grace's texts, noted her dates, her contradictions. It wasn't a revenge plot. It was clarity, a way to remind himself he wasn't imagining the double standards. Grace's outings multiplied, 3 dates in a week. Each name dropped like a challenge. Evan was wild. Met a guy from the gym yesterday. David stopped engaging, his silence a shield. But inside, he was shifting. If Grace wanted freedom, he'd claim his own, not by playing her game, but by stepping out of it. David's phone buzzed as he stacked food bowls at the animal shelter. A text from Mia. Check your inbox. Grace is spiraling. He opened his email to find a screenshot from Mia. Grace's Instagram story. A vague post about disloyalty with a sad emoji. David shook his head, pocketing his phone. Grace's latest date with Evan, the DJ, had her out past midnight, yet his single coffee with Mia was apparently a crime. He focused on the dogs, their eager barks pulling him back to the present, but the tension simmered. At home, Grace was waiting, her arms crossed, phone face down on the counter. We need to talk, she said, voice tight. David set his keys down, bracing himself. Go ahead. She launched in, accusing him of sneaking around with Mia. You knew that would hurt me, she snapped. David stayed calm, his voice steady. You're on your 3rd date this week, Grace. I had coffee with someone you used to know. Explain the difference. Her eyes flashed, but she faltered, pivoting to a new tactic. It's not about the dates. It's about trust. David leaned against the counter. Trust? You pushed for this open relationship, set the rules, and now you're mad I followed them? Grace's jaw tightened, but she didn't answer. Instead, she doubled down, pulling up a text from her brother, Liam. Even he thinks you're crossing a line with Mia. David's patience thinned. Liam's not in this relationship. Neither is Mia. This is about you wanting control while you do whatever you want. Grace's face flushed, but she stormed out, leaving the air heavy with unresolved anger. The next day, David got a call from Mia. Grace showed up at my place, she said, voice sharp but controlled. Banging on my door, calling me a homewrecker, saying I'm sabotaging you too. David's grip tightened on his phone. She did what? Mia recounted the scene. Grace, wild-eyed, accusing her of plotting to steal David, then leaving when Mia refused to engage. She's unhinged, Mia said. Be careful. David thanked her, his mind racing. Grace wasn't just testing boundaries. She was rewriting reality to paint herself as the victim. That evening, Grace acted like nothing happened, casually mentioning a new guy, Caleb from the gym, over dinner. David didn't take the bait, eating in silence. Her chatter felt forced, like she was trying to provoke a reaction. When she asked, You're awfully quiet. What's up? He looked her in the eye. I'm done playing this game, Grace. You wanted freedom. You got it. But don't cry foul when I live my life too. Her fork froze mid-air, her confidence cracking. The next morning, Grace shifted tactics. She sat David down, her tone soft, almost pleading. I want to end the open relationship, she said. It's not what I thought. I miss us. David leaned back, studying her. You miss us, or you miss being in charge. Her eyes widened, caught off guard. That's not fair, she whispered. David didn't flinch. You went on 5 dates in 2 weeks, threw a fit when I talked to Mia, and now you're ready to flip the switch back? That's not how this works. Grace's voice trembled. I thought you'd wait for me. I thought this would make us stronger. David stood, his calm unnerving her. You thought I'd sit here while you tested the market. I'm not a backup plan. He pulled out his phone, showing a list of her texts, dates, names, times, calmly cataloged. I kept track, not to hurt you, but to remind myself what's real. You broke this, Grace. Her face paled, realizing he wasn't bluffing. She tried one last play, tears welling. I didn't sleep with anyone. I just needed to know I could choose you. David shook his head. You chose yourself. That's fine, but I'm choosing me now. He walked to the door, pausing. This is my house. I pay the mortgage, the bills, everything. You need to start packing. Grace froze, her tears stopping cold. You're kicking me out? David's voice was steady. I'm asking you to leave. You wanted to explore. Explore somewhere else. The air shifted, the power no longer hers. Grace didn't argue, just sat there, stunned, as David left for the shelter. His phone buzzed later. Her mom, Karen, leaving a voicemail. How could you do this to her? She's devastated. David deleted it without responding. Grace's family could spin their narrative, but he wasn't bending. He texted Mia, told Grace to move out. She's not happy. Mia replied, good for you. She didn't expect you to call her bluff. By night, Grace was quiet, packing a single bag, testing if he'd crack. David didn't. He slept on the couch, giving her space, but his resolve was ironclad. The climax wasn't loud or vengeful. It was David reclaiming his life, one calm decision at a time. David woke to the sound of boxes shuffling in the living room. Grace was packing, her movements deliberate, stacking books and folding sweaters into neat piles. She didn't look at him as he passed through to the kitchen, grabbing a coffee. The silence was thick, not hostile, but final, like a contract expiring. He'd asked her to move out last night, and now she was complying, her usual defiance replaced by mechanical focus. David didn't comment, just headed to the animal shelter, where the dog's eager barks offered a reprieve from the tension at home. At the shelter, he threw himself into work, walking a hyperactive beagle named Scout. His phone buzzed. Grace's brother, Liam, calling. David let go to voicemail. Liam's message was sharp. You're breaking her heart, man. Mia's bad news. Fix this. David deleted it, unfazed. Grace's family was circling, but he wasn't swayed by their guilt trips. He texted Mia instead. Grace is packing. Family's piling on, but I'm done bending. Mia's reply was quick. Stay strong. They're just mad you're not playing their game. Back home, Grace had filled 3 boxes, her side of the closet half empty. She sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone, her social media a curated mask of confidence, smiling selfies, captions about new chapters. David noticed, but didn't bite. Need help with anything? He asked, keeping his tone neutral. Grace shook her head, not meeting his eyes. I've got it. Her voice was clipped, like she was holding back a storm. David nodded, grabbing his gym bag and leaving her to it. That evening, Grace's mom, Karen, showed up unannounced, her SUV screeching into the driveway. David was checking his mailbox when she stormed up, arms crossed. You're throwing away 6 years over a misunderstanding, she snapped. David kept his cool. A misunderstanding? She demanded an open relationship, went on dates, and lost it when I had coffee with Mia. That's not a mix-up, Karen. Her eyes narrowed. She was scared. You're supposed to support her. David stepped past her. I supported her for 6 years. She chose this. I'm choosing myself now. He walked inside, closing the door on her protests. Grace tried a new angle the next day, catching David as he prepped dinner. Can we talk? She asked, her voice soft, almost fragile. He set down his knife, waiting. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said, sitting at the counter. I thought this would clear my head, make me certain about us. David chopped carrots, his focus on the blade. And did it. She hesitated. I realized I don't want anyone else. I want you. David didn't look up. You had me. You decided I wasn't enough. Her breath caught, but he kept cutting, letting the silence speak. She moved out that weekend, her brother's truck parked outside as they loaded boxes. David stayed at the shelter, avoiding the scene. Mia texted, how's it going? He replied, she's gone. Feels weird, but not bad. Mia suggested a walk to clear his head, and they met at a park near Zilker, strolling past joggers and food trucks. You look lighter, Mia said, tossing a stick for a stray dog. David nodded. I didn't realize how much I was carrying until she left. Mia didn't push, just walked beside him, her presence steady, no expectations. Grace's social media shifted post-move, fewer selfies, more cryptic posts about learning lessons. David ignored them, focusing on his routine, work, gym, shelter. Liam called again, this time apologetic. She's struggling, man. Just thought you should know. David was blunt. She made her choices. I'm not her safety net. Liam sighed, hanging up. David felt no guilt. He'd given Grace every chance to reconsider before she crossed lines. A week later, Grace texted, can we meet? I owe you an apology. David agreed, curious but guarded. They met at a neutral coffee shop, her posture stiff, eyes tired. I messed up, she said, stirring her latte. I thought I needed more, but I was wrong. I miss you. David leaned back, unmoved. I don't hate you, Grace, but I don't trust you. You broke something that doesn't rebuild. She nodded, tears brimming, and left without arguing. It was the first time she seemed to accept the consequences. David and Mia grabbed dinner that night. Nothing formal, just tacos at a food truck. She laughed at his story about Scout stealing a volunteer sandwich. You're not her fallback guy anymore, Mia said, wiping salsa off her chin. David grinned. Never was. Just took me a minute to see it. Their connection wasn't rushed or rebound-driven. It was honest, built on shared clarity. The fallout was settling, and David was stepping into a life he hadn't planned but was ready to claim. David parked his car in the driveway, the house quiet for the first time in weeks. Grace had been gone for a month, her absence leaving space for clarity. He spent his days at the animal shelter, training a shy rescue pup named Luna, her trust in him a small victory. His phone stayed mostly silent. No more texts from Grace's family. No cryptic social media jabs. He'd muted their notifications, choosing peace over their drama. At work, he landed a new client, his focus sharpening as he sketched logos late into the night. Mia met him for coffee one Saturday, her easy laugh cutting through the morning chill. They sat outside a bustling Austin cafe, splitting a pastry. Heard from Grace lately? She asked, breaking off a piece. David shook his head. She texted once, apologizing, but I'm done responding. Mia nodded, her eyes steady. Good. You don't know her a lifeline. Their talks had grown frequent. Dinners, walks, quick texts about bad movies or Luna's latest tricks. It wasn't rushed, just natural, like finding a rhythm after years of discord. Grace's brother, Liam, tried one last call, catching David as he left the gym. She's moved in with our parents, he said, voice low. She's a mess. Keeps saying she lost everything. David adjusted his bag, unmoved. She didn't lose it. She gave it away. Liam paused, then admitted, yeah, I get it. Just wish it didn't end like this. David ended the call politely, but firmly, no interest in rehashing. Grace's choices had consequences. He wasn't her cleanup crew. At the shelter, David noticed a shift in himself. He laughed more, bantering with volunteers as they prepped a dog adoption event. Mia showed up to help, her sleeves rolled up, passing out flyers. You're good at this, she said, watching him calm a nervous terrier. David grinned. Learn from the best. Luna's a pro now. Their teamwork felt effortless, no hidden agendas. Later, over tacos, Mia asked, you ever think about what's next? David shrugged. Just taking it one day at a time. Feels right. 2 months after Grace's move, David found a letter in his mailbox, her handwriting unmistakable. He opened it at the kitchen counter, expecting another plea. Instead, it was short. I'm sorry for pushing you away. I thought I needed more, but I was wrong. I hope you're happy. No request to meet, no guilt trips, just closure. David set it down, feeling neither anger nor sadness, just a quiet acknowledgement. He tossed the letter in a drawer, not dwelling, and headed to the shelter. That evening, Mia invited him to a food truck festival by the river. They wandered through the crowd, sharing fries and dodging kids chasing glow sticks. Grace reached out, David said, breaking the comfortable silence. Mia raised an eyebrow. And? He recounted the letter, his voice steady. She's figuring herself out. I'm glad, but it doesn't change anything. Mia nodded. Tosinga e feripsilon. You're not her anchor anymore. That's her job now. David smiled, the weight of her words settling lightly. Grace's social media went quiet, her usual flair replaced by posts about new hobbies, yoga, painting. David didn't check often, but when he did, he felt no pull to engage. Her life was hers to rebuild, just as his was his. He and Mia planned a hiking trip. Nothing serious, just a weekend away. She teased him about packing too many snacks, and he fired back about her terrible sense of direction. Their banter was easy, built on mutual respect, not obligation. At the adoption event, David watched Luna find a home, her new family beaming as she wagged her tail. He felt a quiet pride, not just for her, but for himself. He'd walked away from a relationship that demanded he shrink, choosing instead to stand firm. Mia joined him, clapping as Luna bounded off. You did good, she said, nudging his shoulder. David met her eyes. We both did. The story closed with David at the shelter, tossing a ball for a new rescue. He wasn't chasing grand plans or forcing a future with Mia. He was just present, grounded in a life he'd reclaimed. Grace faced her consequences. not through cruelty, but through the natural fallout of her choices. David's justice was simple. He moved forward, free of her shadow, proving that sometimes the strongest revenge is living well.